So, I've been playing Enshrouded recently, as well as going around and, fighting the baddies and leveling up and doing quests. I just got into building buildings. And I actually quite enjoyed it. This is the first one I actually properly took some time to build. It's only a small little hut and on the side of the hill, but I quite liked it. I put some stone down for foundation, and then I built flint walls on top of that. And there's a little area here for parking your wagon or your horse or whatever. Inside is pretty basic. Obviously there's the shrine and a workbench and a bed. That's about it. It's just got the essential, something to keep you warm. So yeah, it's quite simple, but enjoyable. After I did the first one, I thought, well, maybe I should do something better for my main base. At the time, my main base looked something like this. I don't have any great shots of it, I'm afraid. I didn't have OBS running at the time, and it doesn't exist anymore. But essentially, it was just a set of huts, one for each of the NPCs. But after doing this little hut, I thought, maybe I can do more than that. Maybe I can do something bigger, something better. So yeah, time to put my pensive face on and think about what I'm going to do. So I decided to go with Redwall Abbey, which, if you don't know it, is from a set of books which was written by Brian Jacks. A set of fantasy books where animals basically are human-like, but it's set in a kind of fantasy setting in the sense of it's kind of medieval and technology level. And Redwall Abbey is a place of peace, a place of calm, where friendly animals, usually mice, otters, squirrels, badgers, all live together. But it's also a very defensive structure, and this is important to the books. In most of the books, Redwall Abbey comes under attack by a set of villains and creatures, usually in the form of rats or crows or weasels and stoats and things like that. So anyway, that was the inspiration. I thought it was a nice, friendly yet defensive structure to build. So basically I was just going from what I'd read in the books, and to prepare for this I reread some of those books, and then from that I started to think about how I wanted to lay it out. A website that I found really useful is redwallfandom.com. It gave a lot of information about the books and the abbey itself, including a really useful link to the different sections of the abbey. It talked about the different areas and what went on in the different books in these areas. This was really useful as an inspiration for how I was going to lay out the abbey a little bit. So I'm not sure they're ever going to watch this video, but if they are, thank you for putting your website together. Now, the first decision I had to make was, what am I going to build it out of? The books in Redwall talk about it. The abbey itself is made out of red sandstone. So first of all, I took everything from the building blocks which are even vaguely red and might vaguely work, and I laid them all out. So this is Desert City Wall. That's what this looks like. It's not very red. This is the fired brick block, which is more red. That was rough sandstone that I just put down. That's even worse. This is copper blocks, which is red, sort of, but not really sandstone-like. This is refined sandstone, which just looks yellow. This is a limestone block. Yeah, again, it looks almost white. It's got no colour to it at all. That's a regular sandstone block. And finally, this is the desert temple block. Now, there are shades of red in the last one, the desert temple block. There's a little bit of red in this one, but it's pretty pitiful. It doesn't really look that red. This one's got a little bit more. The copper clearly isn't right. I might use that for texturing, but it's not really right. Yeah, so the problem I had is that there wasn't much to choose from which worked. So this one's got the right kind of look, but the colour's wrong. So in the end, I went with this one. I ended up going with the fired brick look in the end. I know it looks like bricks, but it just had the right kind of reddishness to it. I then did look at what roof types I could use. There was 3 that kind of fit. The book talks about tiles on the roof, so it had to be something tile-like. These are the three which obviously made choice. Now, the obvious one is the middle one, the red tiles. But I just thought that's going to be too red. You know, red on red. I don't know. I'm worried it's going to be a very monochromatic building, which in some of the pictures it does look like, but in other pictures from the books it's not monochromatic. So I don't know. Instead I went with the one on the left. I went with the kind of flint look. I thought it went a bit better, so that's what I ended up going with. So once I decided that, it was then time to get to work and actually get on and start laying this out. Now, I don't have any footage of me starting Redwall. I've got some screenshots which I took, so I'll just talk through those very quickly. So here you can see me starting the wall around the base. Now, this is a level 4 base, it's quite big, but yeah, the first thing was deciding where to put the wall and the gatehouse you can see at the front there. This is from a bit higher up, from a distance. You can see the old internal wooden huts in the centre, which I was using. The wall itself is 4 blocks wide of tiled, and it's got a significant height as well. The walls are high, okay? And this is what the towers looked like when they were finished. Now we can get back to the video footage. From this point onwards, I started recording the build. So this is what it looks like from the outside. As we move forward, it glitches a little the video. My laptop does struggle a bit recording and playing Enshrouded at the same time. Anyway, we're walking through the main gate, iron doors. I know the main doorway into Redwall should be a big wooden door, but that doesn't exist at the moment in the game. This is the gatehouse. I've got a carpenter in here, but this is a key little house in the Redwall stories. So sits here. Now the stairs going up, wood, tarred wood, so they survive the weather. And the gatehouse gives you a little outpost over the path coming inwards, but you can't actually get up to the main abbey apart from going through the gate down the ground. I'll show you now. So you get another. Oh, I forgot to mention these little cubby holes here, which are intentional. Anyway, into the main entrance. So this is the main abbey area. Now at this stage I've only done the wall. I haven't really done much of the inner abbey itself. Now the paths, you'll notice I've designed the abbey around, so you can't at the moment in Enshrouded make these stone pathways. So instead I've shaped the abbey around them, so I've made the entrances in and out to align with those paths naturally. Another key thing in the abbey lore is a pond. Now you can't do water yet in Enshrouded, so what I've done is this blue luminous block, and the effect's not bad. I've got some plants sticking out from underneath. It looks okay. So out to the towers. At the moment I've got each of the NPCs in each of the towers. There's a number of layers. Here's the second level, and then the third level. This takes you up to the tower. You can look out. Now we'll go along the walkways in a minute, but first we're going to go up to the tower itself. Again, tarred wood on top to stand the weather. And now let's go out onto the walkways. So now we're going to walk over the gatehouse. Now the entire wall now is done at this stage. It took a long time, but and a lot of trips to getting lots of clay. Each tower is essentially the same as the other. There are some minor differences, but they are very minor. I need to put a torch down here. Yeah, and the entire wall around, the square wall around Redwall is done. All the maps in the books do indicate that the wall around Redwall Abbey is actually a square or rectangular in shape. So I'm being faithful to that aspect anyway. Yeah, and that at the moment is what I'd accomplished mainly at this stage. I just started laying out the innards of the abbey and where it's going to be positioned, but it's just, I've basically just penciled in where the walls are going to be. I haven't done much more than that. Just fly down and get a closer look. So again, you can see how I've used the stone paths to naturally take you towards the abbey door. I've kind of designed the layout around those stone paths, which I can't change. And yeah, and this is going to be the abbey area. The central piece is going to remain with the flame shrine. I don't want to move that. Got to get rid of this door. That's not supposed to be there. Yeah, and all these chests have got all my equipment in, which at the moment I'm just going to kind of leave there. But yeah, the next stage is kind of starting to build up the abbey. I've kind of worked out how big it's going to be on the ground plan sort of view, but how tall it's going to get, we'll kind of see. So this is a few days later. Walking back in, you'll notice there's kilns here. These have to be going almost constantly to produce all the fired bricks I need to build this place. Yeah. Anyway, so I've done the bottom level of wall for the abbey, so you can see the sort of ground floor level is done, and I've put the flooring in, which it isn't brick, but I think works quite well. The building block I've used for this is actually this one, the Desert City wall. It's quite a nice effect. It's kind of like a very faint shade of red. These two other blocks of material here indicate other materials I'm going to use, the fine stone and the palm wood. And that's about it really for now. It's not much progress, but it's looking gradually better. These scaffoldings are actually invaluable, but now I better get back to work and continue moving forward on this. So actually this is a couple hours later on the same day. As you can see, I've started to put the windows in. Now, Redwall book specifically talks about how when you're in the abbey, light shines down from narrow windows up high. So that's kind of the effect I've been going for here. So later that day it looked a bit like this. I'd done the front of the abbey, or at least the first two levels. Yeah, and the second level I started building up around the abbey as well. Now here is where I started on the tower. Now the bell tower is a huge part of Redwall Abbey, okay, and my tower I'm going to make very large, so it needs to be made of nice thick strong walls because it's got to support a lot of weight above it. Okay, so yeah, I do 4 thick walls. Okay. Now there is a problem because I'm going to use this tower for the stairs going up and down between the levels of the abbey, but that means there needs to be a sort of a doorway into it, and you can't just have a gap, otherwise structurally it won't work. I mean, it's a game, it will do anything, but I wanted to put some reality in the design. Okay, so to support the door on the way in, I started building an archway. That was the idea. I wanted a stone archway which is going to support the massive weight of the tower above it. So by the end of the session it looked like this. So you can kind of see what I'm going for. You can't do curves in Enshrouded, but it's still the same sort of effect. There's a nice strong stone archway to allow us to get in and out of the tower. A couple of days later, this is where I got to, so you can still see the tower. And I'd also worked on the other walls, so I've got built up to the 3rd level now, and I'm starting to work on the sloped roofing. There's still a lot to do, but it's starting to take shape now, and I'm quite happy with how that tower is looking. So this is later that same day, and you can see I've started to put the roof in, the first level of roof, about 3 floors up roughly, so it's quite a high roof. But yeah, it's starting to take shape. Also, importantly, the stairs leading up. So it's nice palm wood stairs and getting up here. So yeah, it's getting there. This is from the end of that session. Got a bit further. The main tower has progressed a little bit, but I'm having real problems with resource shortages at this point, with wood and with bricks. But it's coming along nicely. So this is a couple of days later, and as you can see, I've done the roof. At least, yeah. So it's all kind of complete, the first roof. And I've put in these pillars. Now this is to support the walls above. So the roof slopes up, but then there's going to be a brick wall above that. So I needed to structurally support that. So yeah, I need these pillars. I haven't quite finalised the design of the pillar. I've tried a few different things out. Here you can see I've got this very sort of Y-shaped pillar. I'm not sure I like that. But yeah, I tried a few different things. So we go upstairs. So this first floor is going to be one of the dormitories. Okay, and I've finished flooring this anyway. I'm going to lay this out into rooms a bit later. The second floor is also going to be dormitories. There's 2 floors of dormitories. Okay, which is basically bedrooms. And then I'm going to use this floor for the attic, which I haven't quite decided at this stage what I'm going to use that for. And that's kind of it. So it's definitely moving along. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's coming together quite nicely. I'm not quite sure how high it's going to get yet, but we'll see a bit later. So this is a couple of days later, and you can see from looking at the back, the tower's got a lot higher now, which is good. Yeah, and it's looking good from the outside. Going inside, the ground floor hasn't changed too much. So going up the stairs, dormitory level 1, dormitory level 2, and then the attic. So reading through the online resources, the attic in the later books was used as a library, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kit this area out as a library. But in the early books, the attic is a place of dusty corridors and mazes, and people aren't sure where they're going. So I want to keep an element of that as well. I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to use some of the higher levels for that. Wait a minute. It's the problem that I encountered sometimes. I build over my route up. Always a danger when you're trying to build at speed. So yeah, this upper level up here, I'm probably going to keep more in keeping with the old attic. But yeah, I haven't quite worked out what yet. And eventually it's going to lead up to the loft area where the Sparrow tribe lived. So we're at the top of the attic again, and I've built this staircase which goes up into the skies. Now, why have I done that? Well, I wanted to see what the build limit actually was, how high I could actually get. And this is it. Can't go any higher than that. Now, I'm only using 1 shrine. Obviously, I could place another shrine and build higher, but I don't want to do that. I want to do this with a single shrine. So that's what I've got to play with. So given that, I can start spacing out where things are going to be, and because I want to go right to the top of the build limit. Now, in particular, what I've kind of concluded is that this level here, I've got these other planks, I'm going to put the bell. So the Joseph bell, which sits at the bell tower, that's where that's going to be. Then going up from there, the tower is going to extend and narrow, and that leaves this final section here to do the weather vane right at the top of the tower. Now, for those die-hard Redwall fans, if there are any watching this, it's not quite clear whether the weather vane is on top of the bell tower or it's on top somewhere else. I think the implication is it might not be on top of the bell tower, but it's a little confusing in the books. So this is what I'm going to do anyway. Okay. So this is useful as an exercise to do because it just allows me to lay out in my mind a little bit the different heights I've got to play with. And yeah, and how much more I need to build, and in particular getting ready for the big Joseph bell, which is a key element of all the books, and the fact that it's going to sit at roughly this level. So this is 4 days later, and here you can see the tower's complete. In fact, the main building is complete. The main structural building is done. Yeah, I'm pleased we finally got here. So let's have a look at what it looks like inside the courtyard. So yeah, there she is, Redwall Abbey. This is what it looks like from the side, on the ground, and from the tower it looks a bit like this. Okay. Now going inside, the ground level hasn't changed that much. One thing I have done is I've laid out this thing as the kitchen, so I've put the farmer NPC here, and I'm going to deck that out properly later. Going up the stairs, there's dormitory level 1, hasn't changed, dormitory level 2, unchanged. Library, so this has changed a little bit. I have laid this out conceptually a bit better, the torches and this staircase and banister. Now, there is a way to the roof through there, but it's a bit secret, and I haven't finished it yet. So I'll show you that another time. I can not fall off. So this is the alternative way up, and this takes you up to the bell. There it is. Now, obviously, I can't do curved surfaces; they're just voxels. But essentially, this is the bell. And going up from here is a little sneaky route out. You pull yourself up, and then you get essentially to the top of the tower. Falling down again. Not doing very well today. Here we go. So now we are at the top of the build limit. This is it. Can't go any further. And this is where I've made this makeshift weather vane. It's not great, but I brought a load of items up and tried to see what worked best. But this was kind of the best I could do. It's not great, but it will do. So yeah, main structure complete. So we're all done, yeah? Everything's finished, nothing left to do, eh? Not quite, everyone. No, we've actually got to do the insides of the abbey now. Now, what I've been working on here is the layout of the pillars. Now, these pillars are not randomly positioned. They align to the outside structure. Again, I talked earlier about, supporting the loads, but I am designing this such that it's kind of reasonably realistic. So every time the roof slopes in and there's a wall of brick, that brick needs supporting. Okay. So this wall here, which I'm walking along now, needs support. Okay, this wall. So where's that supported? Let me just land and run inside. I'll show you. That corresponds to this front line of pillars here. In a similar way, this line of pillars here, going along here, corresponds to another wall. I'll show you which one. It corresponds to this wall. Okay. So the point is that everything down in the base layer with the pillars, they're there to support the structural load of the building. It's funny doing this because actually, from trying to work through logically where to put the pillars, I kind of understand why all these old buildings like churches and stuff like that have so many damn pillars, because they need them. They're only building with stone, and to support the loads you've got to have these pillars in. Okay, so they're not just pretty, they're functional, these pillars. So this is a little bit later on the same day, and I've been making progress on the pillars. They're going up reasonably well, but it's turned into a massive construction site. The scaffolding has gone up everywhere. I've lost track of the number of sets of scaffolding I've actually had to build to do this. It got a bit out of control. So this is just a short video to show how nuts the scaffolding situation got. Anyway, a little bit later that day I actually finished it, and this is what it looks like when it's done. So yeah, the general structure of the pillars is a central column of stone supported on each side by a beam of wood. Now the idea behind this is that stone's very strong in compression, but it's weak under tension. And the pillars are quite tall, so I thought if I add the wood in, that will support it under tension as well, and that way together they'll be strong in both compression and tension. I've no idea whether that actually works in real life, or whether anyone has ever actually done anything like this in real life. I have no idea, but I was quite happy with it, and it looks quite good. The overall effect is pleasing on the eye. The only other thing I was going to note is that actually this divides the hall into rooms, areas. There's a big one here, there's two smaller ones on the end. There's obviously the central one with the flame shrine in, and then there's a mirror on the other side. There's a big one here and two smaller ones. I need to work out what I'm going to do with these areas. So this is about 3 days later. Put a little map there. And yeah, this hasn't changed that much, but I've decked out the areas a little bit. So in this area, I've put the carpenter and the hunter together. This area I've used for the dining area. This is where people of Redwall have their breakfast. And then this is, as I said earlier, the kitchen, which I've decked out a little bit. Obviously I haven't moved the flame shrine in the middle. In this little area I put the blacksmith. Now Martin and Methuselah wouldn't appreciate kilns and such in their abbey, but you know, in times of war I'm sure they'd approve. And this area here I've used for storage. Going upstairs, there's a chandelier on the roof there. I've started to lay out the rooms a little bit here. You can see how I've started to wall up this. Okay, how I'm going to lay out the bedrooms a little bit. Also notice how the pillars extend through this level. Okay, that's because they're supporting the load above, so they have to go all the way up, and even through this level as well. The pillars are there. Okay, and then we get into the library. Now I've done a fair bit here. So firstly, I put bookcases up everywhere around the library, and I've started to fill them out with books. There's a lot of books to create, so I haven't done all of them. The Alchemist is here, it seemed fitting, being close to the library. And this is going to be like a work area here. If I go upstairs, you ought to see the second level of the library. So I'm going to put some tables in later as well for people to study at. Yeah, and then up to the third level. This is a smaller level. And there's the bookcases here, but there's a secret here. It's a false bookcase. This takes you up to the area of the loft, which I talked about earlier. About I wanted to keep like a bit of a mystery and a maze, so I actually made it a maze. You can wander around for a while here and not find the right way through. I did give this to Sam as a challenge. He got so frustrated he couldn't find the way out. He gave up. He said he never wants to do it again. And congratulated me on the design of being so frustrating. Anyway, I'll show you in a second the way to actually go. It's that way there. We just glanced it. Let's go back. It's a very narrow little staircase up. If you miss it, you won't see it. And that's a dead end. But if you head down this way, you'll get where you need to go. It looks like another dead end, but actually it's another secret passage. Now this leads to Warbeak's loft from the books. So this is where the Sparrow tribe are going to live. Now Matthias comes up through a panel in the ceiling, just like that, when he first comes here. So this is where all the sparrows live in the book, and there's the Joseph Bell sitting above them. Okay. Now again, in the books, I don't think the Joseph Bell is directly above where the Sparrow tribe live in their loft, but I've taken some liberty here and laid it out like this. Anyway, this is a nice area where the sparrows can jump off from, and us in Enshrouded we can jump off from and then glide down. Okay, and the little hooks allow you to come back up as well. Now the way to the top, you've got to come out here and then actually climb up. I've made this a ladder now. I think it works a bit better. And then you can get level with the Joseph Bell itself. There it is. Don't slip down now because it's a long way. And yeah, and that's about it. The rest of it hasn't changed. The way to the top is still the same, and the weather vane still looks as bad as it did last time. But but yeah, that's where I've got to now. So approaching Redwall at night time. Looks quite pretty. But I'm not just here to show you that. This is 5 days later, and I've made a few changes. So first of all, the gatehouse, I put a bay window in. I've actually cleared out the bottom area as well. There's more space here now, and up here. But yeah, the big change is the bay window, which I wanted to do, and actually wasn't that tricky, a little different. Just have a quick nap, turn off the HUD. Okay, you'll be pleased to know there's more changes after 5 days than just the gatehouse. Let me take you inside. So, there's a bay window on the Abbey as well. Can you see it? Just up there. Let me get you a bit closer. Here we go. So yeah, this is one of the bedrooms, and I put a bay window in here. This is one of the narrower bedrooms, and I thought it needed something like this, some sort of feature. I think it works quite well. I've started to lay out the other bedrooms, just boxing them up, put the walls in. There's something else I want to show you downstairs though. So I'll see if you can see it yourself. God, those pillars look fantastic. But no, can you see the change? Well, I said it was downstairs. Well, it's more kind of like that there is a downstairs. That's right, I've gone down into the basement. And this is the first attempt at the cavern hole. So this is an important part of the Redwall books. This is where they meet often in the evenings, and they have meals and big events down here as well. I really like the colour texture, the dusty red of the roof and floor, the cave walls, and the lights everywhere. There's a problem actually, that some of the chandeliers are a bit too low. These ones are alright, but the one here is definitely too low. And I do want one there because it's right underneath the flame shrine above. So I think I'm going to have to take the level of the floor down a little bit. But still, I like the look of it. I think it's worked well. This obviously needs cleaning up and tidying up the stairway down. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how this is turning out. So here we are, a few days later on the 26th of March, finally finished Redwall. So I'm going to load it up. My laptop has a small heart attack trying to run Enshrouded and record at the same time. But once we're past that, we can get into it. And I'm going to take you around. However, there's a problem. On the 26th of March, something else happened with Enshrouded. That's right. It was update time. And it was a big update. The Hollow Halls update. It had about over 100 fixes to it and changes and modifications, and there's a lot of improvements to the game. But it all came out on that last day when I was trying to put the whole video together. First thing I checked is, does Redwall still load? I was a bit panicked because literally I was finishing the video off and then on the day as the update came out. But you'll be pleased to know that Redwall is still in one piece. Nothing's really changed. I went around the entire place. It all still looks good. Great. But there's another problem. What's that, you say? It's this. The hollow halls themselves. See the red brick here? Yes, that's right. Back to the very beginning of this video, I was looking at different bricks. And then with this update, they brought out another red brick. And this one is quite red. And I certainly had an existential crisis of, wait a minute, have I got to do the whole damn Redwall all over again with this new block? So, it's time to look a bit wide with my character, put my wide face on. Yeah, he looks a bit wide, as he should. Right, so, yeah, red. Now, do I like this red block? Is it better than the one I've got? Well, it's certainly redder. My red wall looks a bit orange in comparison to the redness of these blocks. That's not a great start. But the more of it I actually built, the more I thought, actually, I'm not sure I do like this block. One, okay, it looks like marble, which isn't really the effect of Redwall. Redwall's supposed to be sandstone, but then, you know, my bricks don't look that sandstone either. But also, it's a bit harsh, and it's got these black linings around the outside every time you build with it, which is a bit dark and not really the theme of Redwall at all. Okay. Furthermore, it looks nice and red on this side, and reasonably okay. But if you look from the other side, it's a bit darker and duller, and I didn't really like it as much. Now, I don't think this is just me talking to myself and saying, no, I haven't wasted the last few weeks of my life. I've got to redo it all. I generally think it just doesn't look quite as attractive. And look, you compare that to the walls in here. Even on the dark walls, there's a warmth to the bricks. It feels kind of homey and cozy. Whereas the red marble, you don't get that feeling at all. Red marble doesn't feel safe and cozy. So when I actually did a larger block, They're like this. And you can see that there is kind of a pattern, but they're very big rectangular sort of slabs of marble, and that is not in fitting with Redwall. Redwall's, you know, sandstone slabs, you know, and they're not regular and official and cut by a machine. So yeah, overall I thought, no, I don't think that is the look I'm going for. So I think I'm happy. Existential crisis averted. Redwall's still okay. Alright, so reset your minds. We're going to go back and do the final tour of Redwall Abbey. So, as we step out of the vault, we walk slowly down this slope and Redwall Abbey comes gracefully into view. Serene and beautiful, overseeing the woodland around it. It's a quite magnificent structure. Our player takes his helmet off to get a better view. Then we go down so we can experience it up close. As we move towards the Abbey, we see its full height and grandeur as we approach its majestic walls. Frickin' wolf, honestly. Unbelievable. Just completely ruined the moment and the vibe I was going for. Anyway, I guess we'll just continue with me talking. So anyway, this is the gatehouse, as you've seen many times before. For completeness, I'll just show it round. Nice open space, again, an important part to the books. A bed here. Nothing fancy, but the gatehouse isn't supposed to be fancy. The gatehouse walls allow a defence of the main door, which is important. But you can't actually get up from the gatehouse walls into the main abbey walls. It's not possible, which makes it nice and defensive. It's good. Into the central abbey area itself, there's lots of farming implements around as well. That's important because this is a peaceful abbey and they do a lot of farming here. Over here is one of the exits. I've used the stone road that was there to dictate the paths and the ins and outs of the abbey. So I think I do actually need some music on, so I'm going to put something back on. Okay, so now moving towards the abbey, we can look up at it. A few things have changed, but let's go inside to find out a bit more. So the main central area with the pillars, which I really like how they've turned out. I think it actually went far better than I thought it was going to. This area with the carpenter and the hunter has not changed. The dining area, you can now sit down on these given the new update. That's nice. On the chairs, that is. The windows up high bring the filtered light in as per the book. The kitchen area, which is then again an important part of the Redwall stories. And moving across to the other side, this is the new area where I put like a kind of sermon area where people can sit and talk and debate things. The blacksmith's over here as before, and the storage area over here with the high windows hasn't really changed either. Okay. Moving up the staircase, we go to the dormitories. So these are now all done. Every room is laid out, decked out, with beds, wash basins, tables, all the sort of normal things you'd expect to see in a room. Yeah. I'm just going to show a few of them rather than painfully taking you around every single one. But yeah, they're all done. On the second level it's the same. The rooms up here are slightly bigger, a bit more first class size rooms, more space to play with. If I have time I might come back and actually put some wardrobes in here, but I haven't done that yet. Moving up to the library. The library is complete. all bookcases are laid out. All books that I plan to put in the bookcases are put in. There's a study area here with some tables. Moving up a level, we can walk around the second level, which is a bit smaller, obviously than the ground library level. I'm turning off the HUD here. I think it might look better with the HUD off. Okay, so as you can see, there's been a lot of books being created, and I've tried to lay them out so they look, reasonably random. There's a nice study table there. And then going up to the third level, which is the smallest area of the library. Oh, falling down. There's the bookcases here. And the secret doorway leading up to the top area of the attic, which I purposely kept as a little bit of a maze, because in some of the books the attics are a confusing area. So this is actually a maze. There is only one correct way through the maze. It's not easy to find. If you know what you're looking for, it's okay, but otherwise it's a bit of a nightmare. You will need a torch when navigating this area. There's not a lot of natural lighting. There are numerous dead ends. It's confusing. And if we turn the torch off now, there is at least a little hint at the end, so you can see there's a little light coming through the right exit. This now leads up to Warbeak's loft, which is where the sparrows live, the sparrow tribe. Now, I've done some work here as well. I've made the beds up here, and these are like nests. Okay, so I've put like thatch around it to make it look like a nest. Up here are the mounted heads, which is more in fitting with the sparrows. They are a bit more warlike. And then above them is the Joseph Bell. Some more nests down here and a table. And some perches up here, which I think the sparrows would like. Looking down, you can see the Abbey Pond, which is very important to the books. There it is. As before, to proceed higher up the structure, you need to go this way and climb the ladder. This takes us to the Joseph Bell. To get any higher, you need to know where the attachment points are. So I'm going to turn the HUD on. You can actually see, if you look closely, that there is something drawing your attention. And that's kind of a hint of how to proceed further. So up to get to the top. And right at the top, there's the weather vane. Again, it's not a great design of weather vane, but there weren't many options, and this kind of works, it's alright. So, that's the top of the tower. We are a long way up, and the view looking down is quite spectacular. It's nice looking over the entire abbey. There's only one area left, and to get there we've got to go back down to the bottom again. And we're going to go back inside. And then down into the cavern hole. So this is the completed cavern hole. Nice neat roof, big table for banqueting on. There's a little area up here for the young'uns, or dibbons as they're called, to explore. This is the path to the cellar, where the Redwall residents like to keep all their wines and cheeses and all the rest of it. So it's all going to be stored in there. And I really like how the lighting worked in this room. I think it came out quite well. Now there's one final thing to say. In the book Redwall, looking up, I do like this main room. I think it came out very well. Anyway, in the book Redwall, we find out Martin, the warrior, is buried underneath the abbey. Now in the book, there's a false step here, about halfway up the staircase, but I couldn't do that. but there is a false entrance somewhere. Can you see it? It's not the easiest to see. It's actually here. It's hidden reasonably well. And this leads this poorly lit corridor, which leads us down underneath the abbey, underneath the foundations, just like the book Redwall, and takes us down finally to this door, the tomb of Martin the Warrior. And just like in the book, there is in the room a shield, and in the book there's a belt, but there's no belts in Enshrouded, so I give him the best set of trousers. We shall leave Martin in peace now and go back up to the cabin hole. So yeah, that is Redwall Abbey. As I see it, and as best as I could do in Enshrouded, I think it came out quite well. I'm quite happy with it. There are some minor tweaks I can do out here. I'm going to build some farming patches and things like that. But overall, I'm pleased with this. And thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this and maybe been inspired. But yeah, thanks for supporting the channel and watching all the way to the end. Thank you.